We are live. Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending where you're coming from. Today we have Dennis. I'll let you introduce yourself in a
Yeah.
second, but I'm very excited about this one. So, me and Dennis are part of a security awareness group where we chat almost on a weekly basis. And something that I really like about Dennis, and that's why I also asked him to join today. I think Dennis, you have sort of like an entrepreneurship mind. I love
Yeah.
how you like bring new concepts. Um, I love how you get in love with the problem, not with the solution. We hardly ever talk
Yeah.
about which product or stuff like that. It's usually about more concepts
Yeah.
and very very initiative things that you do. So I want you to share this with the people here today. I think this is going to be very eye-opening for a lot of you guys. But before I start with questioning, why don't you just introduce yourself and then yeah, we
Yeah.
can
Thank you,
start
Gaby.
this.
Hi everyone. I'm Dennis Legori. For those that don't know me, I'm responsible for security awareness and digital communications at Carrier. If you're not familiar with Carrier, Willis Carrier invented the air conditioner over 100 years ago. So it help inventions help you stay cool. I've been with Carrier close to 4 years right now. Before that, I was in fintech. I've been in the security awareness field since 2013. And before that, I have 10 years of manufacturing experience and business experience. So at Carrier, we're lucky to combine both, business experience along with experience in cybersecurity. Uh,
Cool. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to
yeah.
jump into something that I remember that you told me that sort of like opened a path to a whole new
Mhm.
discussion and exploring things that I really found interesting. You set up a program, we were talking about phishing simulation in general,
Yeah.
and you were like, we have an opt-in phishing simulation. And that really opened my eyes. I was
Mhm.
like, yeah,
Good.
tell me more. What do you mean like opt-in phishing simulation? So that really opened up a discussion, and I've learned a lot from you. So why don't we start from there, and sort of we can I can lead with questions because that's sort
Yeah.
of the basis, I think,
Oh,
to a lot of the things and the way you
yeah.
think.
Yeah, I mean, the background of security awareness, goes back to the days of the RSA security breach in 2011, where one person clicked and it resulted in a
Right.
$61 million data breach. And, those are security companies. So if phishing evades, it's up to the human element. Phishing simulations, some people love it, some people hate it. For us, it's a means to an end. Whether you're the intern, whether you're the CEO, everyone gets phishing emails, especially now, whether
Right.
even if not at work, at home, you get different forms of phishing. Most companies recommend that you phish at least once a month. And what we saw was, again, if you have a positive program, not everyone remembers once a month. So we started this competition and challenge people, hey, see if you can spot the phishing. And we had over 1,600 people sign up for the first
But
competition.
hold on. Before you talk about the competition
Yeah,
and all of that, I want to roll
it's
back
more of a,
because I don't think people, I think the concept of a fishing competition is new
yeah,
because fishing is perceived as something that we're attacking sort of the users and we're sort of seeing if they fall for it. But you came up with a different approach or an
yeah,
add on approach. I think you also have your own fishing simulation,
yeah,
but you added an optional fishing simulation. So, yeah,
yeah.
first of all, let's explain that.
Yeah, so it started. I mean, the idea started about a fishing competition. It's not new. There's many companies that do fishing competition. My previous role, I did a fishing competition. In this case, what was slightly different is, when we launched the program, it was past the pandemic. So it's not like, traditionally people, when they go into the office, if they receive an email, they're used to talking to someone and telling them, hey, that's a phishing email, or that's a phishing competition, or that's a real fish. You can talk to someone. Things have changed with the pandemic. People are often remote. They don't have anyone to ask. And that involved, and with that came the evolution of, Teams, Zoom, virtual options. So in this case, with the competition, people are all at home. They want to collaborate with each other. So unlike traditional competition where you get a list of users when they sign up and then you run a competition, here we create a distribution list and we put them all on a Teams channel. And so all of a sudden, these people who are at home, when we started the competition, they were all engaging on Teams channels, encouraging each other, saying comments. It was almost like an outlet. This was in October of 2021 when we first did our first competition. And the intent was have the competition and it ends, right? And then who knows what happens. So then the question came, so we had 1,600 people sign up and they were posting, hey, I got this email or I caught this, and other people, hey, good job. Oh, then some other person, I fell for a fish. I feel I let the team down. Others would encourage. And we're like, wow, this is great. The social media is great. Everyone was having a good time because it was people from over 100 countries in this one channel. And then at that time, it was unheard of, 1,600 plus people on a Teams channel. Some people got scared and they left.
Yeah.
But when the competition ended, well, what do you do? I mean, all this activity, people didn't want to leave. They wanted to stay, which is why we came up with the sign up. Well, competition ended. They want, when is the next competition? Okay, I can do one in December, 2 months, and then, so it just started from there and we just kept on adding more and more people. And they love that whole gamification and people can be like transparent. Nobody feel when someone posted, I clicked on a link. The other thing that we found out was once the competition ended, people were taking snippets of real phishing emails that they caught. And this one person, I remember, he said, I clicked on a real phishing email, but the SOC was like so helpful. And nobody's saying, they said, oh, way to go. It's a good thing that you reported it quickly. Those were powerful messages. So then we invite the SOC because now people were reporting real fish. So the SOC comes into the Teams channel. So you then have this immersive learning experience where you have your Teams channel, but you get the chatter on real phishing emails that are caught. And it's grown since then to over 5,000 people on this one Teams channel. So I don't know
when it'll break. And I remember that you also told me that people were asking for like harder phishing because it's a competition, right? So it's sort of like gloves off almost. People are, try to fool me. So now we have all these eyes. You're talking about 1,600, right? That are actively looking for this phishing simulation. However, while they're doing so, they're also coming across real phishing emails, which I remember you told me how it increased your detection capabilities.
Yeah, kind of the the analogy that I give, back in the 80s, I used to listen to hard rock and heavy metal. And my sister and I used to put the volume loud and I used to play it again. And unfortunately for her, who she dislikes she was a little 80s, the 80s pop music type. She got the music stuck in her head, and she couldn't get it out of her head. It was like a joke. But what we found out with our phishing simulations, the same thing applies. When we were sending these competitions every day, people know it's a competition, so they're on high alert. So their minds are subconsciously, as they're doing their daily job, they're looking for these competition emails. And then after 15 days of these daily emails, it doesn't stop from there. Their performance continues. So we've been tracking the metrics. It just continues to get better and better in terms of their reporting, because just subconsciously they can know, because you're not doing a training once a month, you're doing it every day.
Yeah. And like you said before we started this meeting, you were like, we're getting people finding better stuff than our security gateway because we have people trained. This is like not AI. This is actual intelligence, and people are constantly looking and finding stuff that, are getting missed.
Supply chain attacks are a reality.
Right.
Tomorrow, if someone compromises my account, technically, if they take the effort, they can see any email correspondence I have with you, Gaby, and then they can look in a similar email, type it up, and say something, to you to start that conversation, and you'll think you're dealing with me, and that is phishing. There's no link, there's no attachment. Right. It depends on how much time that the person has behind the screen. And it could be as simple as, okay, well, getting account numbers or, giving some updated information. And it's very hard for tools to catch.
Yeah, this just shows, this is just a great example. People talk about how people are the weakest link, maybe. However, if you work on this reporting culture, you're gaining so much because you have sensors all over, and this gamification that you created. I think now you're like 5,500, right? You were like at
Active.
1,600.
Yeah, we've had over
Active, it's crazy.
6,000 people, but active is over 5,500 right now.
And they opt in. They basically decided.
These are people who have signed up. I mean, there's always the why. I think I have maybe a handful, 3 or 4, who find it a little distracting on the Teams channel and they get off the Teams channel. But for the most part, everyone, stays.
And there's no like monetary prizes or
No.
anything special. This is more like a community that you develop. That's why you started, at the
They,
beginning, you called it social media.
yeah.
It's not actual social media, right? It's not like on LinkedIn or on Twitter. It's internally, but it feels like that.
It does. And you tell people when they ask, hey, what's in it for me? Do I get anything? I said, well, you can get a certificate and bragging rights. And we do send notification to their leadership to congratulate them.
Yeah.
And I think that's the most useful. Any learning management system has that ability to copy the manager. In this case, why the LMS creates is for those people who don't take the training the manager should know.
Yeah.
So we just recreate the facility, the ability of a learning management system to send a summary to the manager. So the manager will get an email telling them to congratulate these users. So when the manager sends a note to them, whether they catch a real fish, I mean, this happens when every month, if they report a suspicious email, they get a note from us and the manager gets copied. And often the manager does reach out.
Yeah.
So
and I think you're actually making it manually, right? I remember you said that you're manually creating some of the certificates, or did you automate it by now?
No, it's automated as in you have to give a training, right? So we create a 1-minute congratulations video. So you will get an email telling, hey, congrats, Gaby. You reported a suspicious email in March. You get APAT, which my intern created, actively protecting against threats.
Yeah.
To redeem your certificate, go online, take a quick training, and you'll see a video where Jalisa will congratulate, this time Nala, she'll congratulate you and tell you about the certificate. You watch it, and then you get the certificate of completion, which is the certificate.
And this is why I said, I like the way you think, like an entrepreneur in this case, because you don't have a specific tool. There's no like community tool that you're using. You're basically using whatever tools you had. You had Teams or Slack or whatever. You created a video instead of a certificate.
Yeah.
You were basically using whatever you had to create this. And you also branded it. You called it Defenders, right?
Yeah, we just came up with the term enterprise defenders because I never knew it would last. But the one thing that I knew was I asked one of SOC people in the threat team, Nick Goldie, I asked him to come up with a name because he's really good at coming. So he came with the competition name Elite Pro Phishing because we wanted something unique. So I named the villain after him, so the Golden Nickel Hacking Group. So we created the story of the Golden Nickel Hacking Group wanting to infiltrate our organization, and it's up to the enterprise defenders. And creating that story gets people interested, so they don't think like, hey, what do I have to do? Nothing. You work, but you just watch out for those emails. What they don't know is we are training their spidey sense, right? As they watch out for these difficult emails, and then it trains them.
Yeah. And you also talked about how this is different from, some people may think this is like an ambassador program, right?
Yeah.
But actually it's not. So I want you to sort of like explain, how is this different? Because some people are like, oh, we're too small for creating an ambassador program, or this requires a lot of resources and we have to have the commitment of different, HR and legal and all of those things. Yeah. So this is not really an ambassador program. I think this may be even more effective.
Yeah.
Talk about those two things and how they differ.
Yeah, so in my previous role, we used to have the traditional champion program where a lot of the champions are voluntold. So I'll go to HR, hey, I need someone from HR to be kind of aligning with cyber. They get familiar with cyber practices and they're here to guide the HR team. Same thing with finance. Often they are voluntold, and they're usually pretty familiar with the risk. They're familiar with the concepts, and they're able to answer a lot of questions. And in fact, our product security, they already have their cyber champion. So what we learned when so obviously it was my goal. Okay, we had to, when our previous season was, she was saying, hey, you should also start a champion program. And I was thinking, yeah, we'll start. We'll just figure out what's the best way to do it. But what we found out when we did the competition is that when people are transparent, when they confess to clicking the links, when they confess to clicking on real links, as long as you report it, I've never heard of any breach happening because someone has not reported. It's when people are scared to report, or they fail to report, or there's some, or they think they can get away. That's what it snowballs. And so I thought, hey, we had to suddenly have this grassroots thing. Let's just develop a grassroots. So the thing about the grassroots is all of our 5,000 defenders don't confess to be experts. They just want to be part of the bigger picture. They're willing to learn,
Right.
willing to learn from others, and it's just completely inclusive. So we don't slap someone for clicking on a link, or they're not, anyone can be, we get some people, one person from France, she said, hey, I'd like to join, but my English is not very good. That gave us the idea to start Teams channels in local languages. So now, apart from the main Teams channel, which 5,000, I've lost track of our other local Teams channels where you have these local groups of defenders there. But it's all about inclusiveness. It's all about, that global culture and using that, right? When you have people, there's power in people from over 100 countries. And we talked about Waze, where crowdsourcing. Waze was successful. Waze got acquired by Google. Today, Google Maps is number one. Waze is still number two 10 years later because of crowdsourcing. And if we can use people to alert for, traffic or police on the road, why not use people to alert for incidents, right? Or suspicious activity. So that's what we started doing, crowdsourcing cybersecurity. So that's kind of where it goes down the different path of your traditional champions.
Mm-hmm. I remember when Waze started. It's an Israeli company, and I remember they showed me that at the beginning, and I was like, "Who's gonna drive and start reporting stuff?" I actually didn't believe in it at the beginning. I was like, "This sounds crazy to me," and obviously I was wrong, right? And I think this comes to show that when you fall in love with the problem and you're trying different things, you see what works. And I think, in your case, just like you said, why wouldn't people report, right? But again, it's that mindset. You turned it from a chore to a game. And once you flipped it, once you sort of gamified it, then people started to get interested. Also in Waze, I didn't get money for reporting it or anything like that.
Exactly. Waze just uses points.
So it's the same thing, but again, it's really about culture. It's the mindset. If you're with the stick all the time and you're keeping track only on the people that failed, and it's all about lowering failure and not celebrating success, then you're missing the point. What you're doing is you're mostly celebrating success. And when you celebrate success, you basically get the community to chip in and to have fun and sort of and you can see that it works in every, like you said, you're working in 50 countries, right?
No, so, we're actually in 120 countries, I think. Yeah, I've lost count. We just have carriers just all over.
So this is, a product market fit. You replicated it. So you open channels in different countries and you basically replicated it. So it's not only specific to the US or it's a culture thing. No, I think it's a human behavior thing. And I think you really hit it on the head here, and it's something successful. And that's why I was like, hey, let's talk. I think a lot of people can learn from that, because it's not always about how much money you spend on a tool. It's really what do you do with the tools that you have, right? And how do you operate them?
No, I mean, it's tied to what the company culture is. Obviously, if you're not in defense, if you're not in, it depends on what industry you are and what your company culture is and how supportive your management. And sometimes we security professionals just have to go with the flow. But in this case, in our carrier's case, I had the backup of management, and you definitely don't want to take, any kind of punitive approach. Is that the right approach? It depends on the industry. But my thought is, if you have any kind, if people are scared, if there's some kind of, if a SOC is going to shame them, or if their manager is going to shame them, when they click on something real, or if they open something malicious, if something is going to happen and they keep quiet, I think that's the real danger.
Yeah. So let's talk about this for a second, because I'm always getting this question, so what is a good click rate, And I'm like, guys, it's not a popular opinion sometimes, I tell them, but it's not really about the click rate, because that fluctuate, right? It's based on the email, it's based on so many things. But just like you said, it's more important the people that report. So again, something
Yeah.
that I know that in your reporting you focus a lot on that. So do you want to maybe elaborate, because I don't want to take over?
Yeah, part of our training, it just focuses on the simple message of see something, do something. If you see any suspicious activity,
Hmm.
our SOC is here to help. If you see a suspicious email, use our fish alert button to
Yeah.
report it or forward it to our spam box, and we do the analysis and we'll get back to you. But most importantly, if you click, please tell the SOC they are here to help you, and giving people that confidence. We actually had a person on our competition, and it's a fictional ransomware, and she clicked on the thing and she got our ransomware page, but she forgot that she was part of the competition, and she immediately called the SOC, and the SOC forgot that it was the competition. And they said, oh, okay, I think I've got ransomware on my machine. What do I do? She called the manager. They acted really quickly. She was actually about to ship the laptop. And then one person suddenly realized, wait a minute, let me ask. And they called me and said, by any chance, do you have a competition? We checked the person's name. I said, don't worry. But we actually congratulated her. But she was, wow, that was so realistic. I mean, she got scared, but I was super impressed how she just knew how to immediately take her laptop off, contact the manager contacts us, and she was about to ship her laptop from the
Yeah.
UK to us, and I had to thank them for that, for just reacting and doing the right thing. And people take it seriously, because they know that we're just waiting to help them. And you need a they don't you don't want an excuse to call the SOC, but when you feel comfortable enough to call in, yeah, you'll get some false alarms, but you
And
know
and the thing is that you actually do more phishing than an average company. Companies usually do like once a month or once
yeah,
every 2 months, and you end up doing way more phishing on
yeah.
the one hand, and on the second hand, through that you're building better culture because it's opt-in. So now you basically created an environment where people are always looking and always are sort of like those sensors that we spoke about at the beginning.
Yeah, and more than that, we've seen the unfortunate cases of where some people take to social media on when phishing simulation. Nobody really likes it. Again, I can't say that all 100% of people like the simulations,
Yeah.
but when you have most people, they get it because there's a competition and people talk about it. They get it because you get so many real threats being reported, and those are highlighted. In fact, for Security Awareness Month, our chief legal officer was speaking, and he actually said, "Hey, I get the emails of my users continue sending." So for an ELT to tell us to continue sending those emails, I was like, "Oh, I wish we could have recorded it because it was the FBI, so we couldn't record it."
Yeah.
I was like, "Wow, I wish I had recorded him saying that." But basically, they like getting these emails, and so people get it. So again, touch wood, I haven't had any, too much negative feedback on phishing simulations or anything.
And when you look at reporting, it sounds like if somebody clicked and reported, it's almost neutral or even thank you. If somebody clicked and didn't report, that's the problem, right?
Yeah, so we have groups, and even when we say that's the problem, they just get put into, they get fished twice a month.
Yeah.
And we just continuously tell them, can we assign them training? Yes, we can. But
Yeah.
really, I think before we assign, I mean, there's just so many other factors there. The moment you tell someone to do something, they're less empowered,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's rather just giving them the chance to improve. And once you improve that reporting rate, it's highly unlikely that I mean, attackers always send to more than one person. So
Right.
one person falls and doesn't report. Hopefully, there'll be 3 or 4 others who do
Yeah.
report it, and then you can trace back.
So in terms of security culture, how do you have a way to gauge it, to sort of like see that it improved beyond the Slack channels, for example, or is that your main, like how many? Because first of all, I know that you have a lot
Yeah,
of new subscribers almost on a monthly basis, right?
we do.
So first of all, talk about that, sort of the growth, and then what else? What other tools do you have to sort of like gauge that you're building this healthy security culture?
Um, so, when we started, we had in our first year, 2021, about 1,600 people signed up. And then we periodically send out these emails. Whenever someone reports a real phishing email, we tell them, hey, if you haven't signed up, sign up for the Enterprise Defenders. And those go out monthly. Last year, we had another, I think about 2,000 people, give or take. So it went to like 3,600. And then this year, we had another, I think it was 2,600 so far. Thanks to some innovation by DTLP Jaleesa, who did 1,000 defenders in 10 days campaign that got her a speaking opportunity at SANS. And now we had a new DTLP who got almost 500 defenders in 5 days. So we're able to have these little campaigns to scale up, right, and get people to join. Where we do, again, there's no real pulse. I mean, there are tools which we can gauge the culture.
But you know what? Before that, I think it's a key thing what you just said a moment ago. It's not only that you set up your channels, you're marketing it, right?
You have
you're treating it as a product, right? And you're marketing your defender program, and you're doing campaigns. So you just said it like, we're doing campaigns, but I actually want you to talk about it because all of those things won't work if you don't put the time to actually market your product. It's not enough to build a good product. You have
the marketing is borderlines, because each time someone reports a real fish at the end of the month, they get an email telling them to join. Then Jaleesa's campaign coincided with International Women's Day. So support promoting women, get the certificate and join the defenders, and people join. So we try and have different, campaigns during the theme, right? So we had a Phantom Fish Halloween competition. So tell people, are you scared? Join the defenders, and try those different campaigns to get people to join, along with the monthly campaigns that we do. And then at the end of the year, for those who don't get a 2023 certificate, we'll send an email to those who haven't joined, asking them to join our 2024 program. So it's those constant marketing campaigns.
Well? Do you also work with marketing?
We do. We work with our communications team and not marketing, but we use our tools it's almost a grassroots automated process where we can do that, similar to phishing simulation. Where instead of sending phishing emails out, you're communicating to users. We also have monthly communications, but where we gauge our pulse is, we do live training just like you and I are talking, but this will be like 300-400, and we try doing those sessions. And our ratings have been, last year we were at 94%. This year we're at 97%. Our goal was 95, but we're at 97.
So what is those percent? Explain that again.
So we have our digital training team where there's different topics, not just cyber, but agile, or any other topic, Microsoft or whatever. And we arrange those trainings. It can be also external speakers. So when you're coming to speak, hopefully next year, it'll be through our digital training. And, Deanna, who's on our team, what she actually does is an invite goes out to all of the company, and then they can register, and then they can attend the training live. Most trainings are 30 minutes, but ours, it's 1 hour. So we call it 30 minutes of training, and then 30 minutes, we call it the after party. If you need to drop, you can drop. If you want to stay, almost 90% of the people stay for the after party.
Nice.
And but we're benchmarked on the ratings, right? So that we can continuously push the bar higher, right? From those 94 from last year, we actually got our first 100% rated. And now how much higher can we go? But all our ratings are high, and that's because we're transparent, right? We have guest speakers, we have other people, and people can engage. They're not like listening. If Nala, our DTLP, the digital leader, if she's speaking, I can be typing in something, or they can be asking Q&A. So it's more interactive, right? So the people who are quiet, they can still engage via chat or listen, and they get learning credit because we just take the video, upload it onto the element. They get learning credits from that.
Gotcha. So I think to conclude this, I think this is a great example of how much you can do with almost zero budget, because potentially everything we spoke about, if you have Slack or Teams, if you have any kind of LMS, if you have any kind of phishing simulation, you're good to go. It doesn't have to be like the best tools out there. This just shows how creative thinking and wanting to solve a problem more than wanting to find, just a solution, it goes a long way, and is a force multiplier, because it's a great entrepreneurship story.
Yeah, there's no, as long, when it comes to budget, then you have to get approvals. You have to make sure you get a return on the investment,
Yeah,
and a lot of the budget can go, obviously, tools are not getting cheaper.
yeah,
You need the means to an end for certain tools, but that doesn't mean you have to have a specialized tool.
yeah,
There's out of the box tools, Slack, Teams, for so your Zoom, on those
yeah,
platforms that are relatively inexpensive. So it's just pivoting on the existing tools
yeah.
that you have.
And hopefully, maybe the supply chain, maybe your partner that work with you can also contribute with this, from this in the future.
Yeah, I mean, one of the other things that we found out, supply chain is a reality.
Right.
Small companies who have just one IT person, they don't have a CISO, they don't have a security awareness program, they don't know about tools. So how do you protect, so supply chain attacks are a reality where smaller companies, they can get compromised. They don't even know it. So
Hmm.
as we build these defenders, we've seen that our users are directly calling them and letting them know. So we're helping our supply chain with
Nice.
the, because that security teams don't do that today. They don't have the bandwidth to directly call some small supplier. But guess what? Like, I mean, if if you get compromised, and I know that if I can better tell you than somebody who doesn't know
Yeah.
you, and you
Like
listen, right?
people just call their vendors, their
Yeah,
connections, and say, "Hey, I got this weird email from
and
you," and they
yeah,
help to notify them that they've been breached.
yeah, and that's the excitement, empowering people to have they have the sock for anything else. They can kind of mediate that relationship. So we've frequently reached out to companies, IT teams, to tell them, hey, if you want any help, let us know. And then they say, oh, I didn't realize that. And then they send a communication to all of their customers. But that's the right thing to do, um, when you get compromised. So yeah, it's going to be an exciting 2024 for sure.
Absolutely. So Dennis, thank you very much for
Thank you.
sharing with all of us this today.
Yeah,
We talk every week. I can talk another hour with
I
you. We have
know.
other
That's
topics that I can expand on.
yeah. We can do a part
So
two maybe.
yeah, we should definitely do a part
Part
two.
two.
Otherwise, I'll just open another branch and we can continue for another hour.
We can do that.
But first of all, thank you very much for
Likewise.
contributing to the community. The fact that you're
Thank
joining
you.
almost every week the community discussions, the security awareness community discussions. I think people can learn from you, and we're stronger
Yeah,
as a community. So
we
hopefully,
are.
more
Thank you.
companies will do the same as you
Same
do,
thing.
and we all become safer.
Yep. Thank you, Gabby.
Thank
Thank you
you
for
very
all those who
much.
joined. Take care. Have a good
Bye.
day. Bye.